Okay, if there is nothing else, let's go and start and see what we have for tonight. So, okay, tonight we're going to start Postman. You guys are familiar with that, so I'm not gonna talk too much about it and about this the easy part. So let's just get my whiteboard. Um, okay. Okay, let's just start with Postman. So before going to the Postman, so what is Postman? Postman is a free tool which is used for testing web services API. Very important. It's a free tool which is used for web services test API, but mostly remember Postman is used for REST API instead of SOAP. But we can also do SOAP API testing on it. And before this version that we are using it, before this version, which is I think the newest version, Postman was available in two versions. Once it was in a standalone application and also Chrome browser. It means it was available through Chrome browser plugin that people used to do it. But mostly the best way to use it is just to use it like with a standalone application. And this is the UI of the Postman that you guys know. So this part that we have here, let me just draw something. This part, I'm gonna call this part, call this a test suite. With Postman, when you start using Postman, this is test suite, guys. What is test suite? Test suite keeps test cases. Test suite keeps test cases. So every collection is called a test suite because inside that you have test cases. So this side is important. We need to create different collections. And after we are done with that, then we would need to, let me remove this. So after we are done with this part, then the most important part in Postman is this part, because we send or how do we use REST testing? REST testing has a URL. I'm going to explain what is URL. I'm going to explain everything to you guys now. So what is URL? We put this URL here, whatever URL, just don't mind about this. And after we put the URL here, then we are going to do some testing on it. First of all, let me just go here and just draw something very small. So about API testing concept, always remember. So I have something here. So then on the other part, I have something as database. This is very important. This is database. And in the UI application, or at this part, we studied, this is a presentation layer, whatever, I'm the user. So the user here, if I do testing on this part, this is UI testing, guys. So I use Selenium or whatever. If I do testing here, this is database testing only here. So database testing, they use a special commands, and they are database testers. They see if the relation between command, if the data is stored properly, perfectly or not. But here in the middle, this is a backend. These two are backend. We studied last week. So when someone says a backend, it means here this is a business layer, and this is database, and this is the UI. Whatever application you have, if someone says backend layer, so the backend layer, it means the API level. This is also called API. We do the testing, and the database layer. These two are called backend layer. If someone says, so for this part that we do API testing. So for building this, we use Java, we use Python, we use C# or whatever. And here, for building this, we use SQL or MySQL. Also, we use Oracle or whatever. I'm not going to talk about this. And for this part, that this is UI of application. So for building that, we use JavaScript, we use HTML, and also we use CSS. Nowadays, mostly testers do testing on this part. This part is just the front layer. The front layer, it means that you are just working with the UI. What is UI? You are working with all, whatever you have here, they're all web elements. So for dealing with web elements, we use an application or a program called Selenium, because you are dealing with web elements, or they're all web elements. We get the, so the frame, I mean the appearance of the application. And then, but nowadays, what are the difference between testing here and testing here? When we, because let's see, if I want to check if the username is correct or not, I send a request. The request will goes to the middle layer, which is business layer, and the business layer hit the database, and then the database, if it's present or not, send it back to the API, and then API send it here if the user is available inside the database. But the reason it is faster, because instead of going and waiting here for the communication between the business layer and database layer, we just start testing here. So by doing testing here, for testing this API, we have two kind of testing. So this is, one is REST and the other one is SOAP. Okay, and then for these two, we have different tools. For example, we have Postman, we have SOAP UI, and also another version of SOAP UI, which is not free. This is called Ready API. So now we are just testing the API. I mean, what API has. So we don't want to deal with the user interface. If you want to deal with the user interface, then we need to deal with web elements. Whatever you see, they're all web elements. If I go here, these are all web elements. If I say inspect, then it gives me the solution here. So these are all web elements. I mean, the text, the icon, or whatever. So we're not going to deal with these. So instead, we are going to deal with the middle layer. Middle layer is called business layer. So for building that, we use Java. And this middle layer and database, these two together, they are called backend. And this one is called also front end. So this is the main concept. When we do testing in the middle layer, this is called API testing. And the tools we have is Postman, SOAP UI, and Ready API, and also more, like we have a lot, but these are the most famous one. And the kind of testing, the method of testing, we have REST API testing and SOAP API testing. SOAP is a method that it was first introduced, and then after that REST was introduced. So for using SOAP API, when we do testing with SOAP, we use an XML file. Remember, it only support XML file. Only support XML file. But the rest, it only available, we need to send HTTP request to the database, to the server. So these are the main thing that you need to know. What is a user interface? What is API? So there are two. This is like the first layer, the second layer, the third layer, which is database. Whatever response we have here, first we send the request, and then the middle layer gets the request, and then hit the database. So then the database send it back, and then we receive it. Instead of going and start testing here, so we do the testing here. So when someone says API testing, it means we do the testing in the middle layer. Remember, middle layer. This is the front layer, and this says database. These two together are backend layer. We cannot say database is the backend. And for developing these, we have two different applications. So now we learned how to do testing on the front layer or UI, because we deal with web elements. This is very important. For doing that, we use Selenium, we use scripts and other things, but Selenium is very famous. And also for this, we have two kinds, REST, SOAP, but these are tools. Remember, these are tools that we use. Like Selenium is a tool for what? For UI testing, web element, dealing with web element. For dealing with API, it has two methods, two ways, REST and SOAP. We have different scenarios here. Then SOAP was old, it only supports XML, but now REST supports like HTML, and then HTTP, and also JSON, but mostly people or companies use JSON nowadays. This is the entire picture that you guys to know. And then the API testing. The reason we do API testing because it's faster. You don't need to get back here and then they get the request and come here. API sends the request to the UI. There is no need to do that. So we, instead of do that, we just do a shortcut and do testing. This is something that I think you guys needed to know. And now we're going to start from Postman, which is used for REST and SOAP, but mostly REST. And after Postman, we're going to start SOAP UI, which is a tool for doing REST and SOAP, but Postman mostly for SOAP, SOAP UI mostly for SOAP, and also Postman mostly for REST. And after that, if you want to have more, if company pays for a subscription and for the money, then you're going to deal with a Ready API, which is more advanced. So Ready API and SOAP are for one company. Postman is different. And by these three or these applications, we just do API testing through these two concepts, REST and SOAP. Okay, any question, guys?
Hi, Mr. Rafiq. I have a question here. By API testing, are we testing the functionality of business logic, or we are testing the communication between the database and business logic?
So we don't mind about the first layer here. We just think about the communication between these two. Okay, let me go to this page here. So as a user, what do I do? So as a user, let me go to Amazon. I'm going to show you something. So as a user, so I do 5 things. First of all, I delete something. And after I delete something, let me just open something. After I delete something, then I create something. If I want to, if I click on any of these and add it to the cart or whatever, this is creating. Let me just go here and show something. I think that would help you better. So okay, let me just show these two. Okay, here that I teach you guys last week. So as a user, what is API testing? So as a user only they create things. So we test these concepts. If as a user I create things, and then I get my data back, and then I update my data, and then I delete my data. This is API testing. So when you use your Facebook, you create something, and then if you created a post like a year ago, then you want to get it back. So use this command. This is API testing, and there it means that the connection between the application is smooth or no. If whatever request you send, is it applicable? Is it working properly or not? Because by using those commands, I mean, because a user only creates something, user get whatever he created or she created, user update whatever he or she has, and user deletes the data. These are 5 things that we use with API testing. It means a user only do these things. So by now, you should know why we are talking about, because as a user and the connection between the database and the server. So when we talk about API here, also we talk about the server. Whatever information you have in the server, when the user wants to create something, delete something, is this communication fine? Does it work well? Or now if we are going to go through Postman, I'm going to show you something more that you will learn. So the main thing is, if the communication is fine, everything, if someone creates something, can they create something as a duplicate? Can they delete whatever they created? So this is the main concept, and I'm going to show you, I think your question, actually that would be better. Okay, let's start with Postman. So let's just go through Postman here in the UI. So this is called as a test suite. when we come here, as I told you, the REST services, if we are doing SOAP testing, we put an XML file here. If we are doing REST testing, REST API testing, we put an HTML file here. This is important. And the commands we have a lot of commands, but mainly use 4 of them. Let's get start using through them. So first of all, the first one is parameter. Whatever parameter we have, we can put them here to avoid repetition. I'm going to show you. This is just remember this. And authentication, this is something important. Some API are public. You don't need something to get access to it, but some API or most APIs, you have to have access or token. Then based on the access level, you choose any one of these. If you do cloud testing, you get one of these. If you're using like whatever the company provides you, this is important. And also headers. What are headers? Headers are extra information about the API. Extra information about the API. Here, headers are always in two. It's like hash map form. They are in key and value. So whatever you have a key, and then in front you should put something as value. So here it says what is the host, user agent, or whatever. I'm going to cover this. So now header are extra information about the API. Body, what is body? Whenever we want to create something and our command is post, we come to the body and we want to send something. Whenever we use post, we send something and then we choose raw, then we use it. And after that, when we come here, this is very important. So do you see text, JavaScript, JSON? Before starting API testing, you get a list from the developer. That list is called API testing description, because in that list, it gives you it shows you, okay, whenever you want to send a command, you want to post something, to create something, what should this be? Postman gives you this option, but in that documentation, it says what command should you use, what form, what type. So if it's written JavaScript, you need to choose JavaScript. If it's written JSON, you choose JSON. It means it's not optional. Okay, Postman gives me a lot of options. Okay, let's choose this. No, it already is specified by the developer, API developer, what command you should use. I have a document I'm going to show you. And also here, what is prerequisite? In the API testing, whenever after you get the response, the test will be executed. Test, I'm going to show you what is test, okay? You didn't study validation, I'm going to teach you how to validate something. After we get the response, the test part will be executed. But before getting the response, or before even creating something, whatever prerequisite we need, we will have it here. Whatever prerequisite we need, we will have it here. So after I click send, and then I get the response, then test will be executed. But before sending the request, whatever prerequisite we need or we have, we will be putting it here, and then it will be executed. So by now, you should just be familiar with that. Once you start, then you will learn. Okay. Now I have so what is API testing, guys? This is very important. It's API testing is not something that they give you the URL and then you can start testing. No, the developer gives you a document, and it is called a specification document. Whatever you're supposed to do as a tester, it's written in that document. So I'm gonna show you something, and then we are going to start using it. This is a document that I showed you, I think last week for a minute or something. So this is some API that I collected online that you guys can also do it. These are 2 websites that you can get API from here. So I got some of them are working, some of them not, but we don't care. We just want to learn. Okay, this is another kind of API testing. That's fine. Okay, so this is a specification. So developer gave me, I'm a tester, gave me a document, and then I learned, I went through that document, then I created a document for me, a form. So now I'm going to use to do REST API testing, but I already have everything that I'm supposed to do. It's not like this. Okay, they give you the URL. Okay, let's do testing. So what should I do? It's very easy. They already give you everything. So here, this is a test case. The developer give you the endpoint URL. Then they tell you what kind of testing you need to do on this URL, and then URI. Then if you want to get do the use get command. So do you need to do a send anybody? No. What should the success response be? What does this URI do? This URI returns list of users in a page. After I get this, it means it was successful. If I didn't get this, if you didn't get this as a tester, it means this API testing is not successful. So, and what after you get these the response, what should the status code be? So it should be 200. And what any comments? Okay, 2 represents page number. So here it means page number, and also query parameter page equals 2. Let's come here. So the developer gave me the endpoint URL. This is the endpoint URL. What is this? I told you last week, guys. Okay, let's come here. What is endpoint? If someone gives you the endpoint, it has different parts. This is the endpoint that the developer gives you. This is the endpoint. This is the URI. What is the difference between endpoint and URI? Let's come here. The endpoint, it means the domain. This is the endpoint. So what is the URI? After this endpoint, you see this is the endpoint, the domain. It gives you the resources. Whatever comes after the first / tail the question mark, this is called resources or parameters. See, parameters. What does this mean? This is the endpoint, the domain that you guys I told you last week. This is the domain. After this / these are called resources. It means inside this domain, inside the location called API, inside that location, there is another location, or there's another folder or file. It's called user. So, and this is URI. And whatever comes after this question mark, it is called query string. Whatever called after question mark. So now let's just do it. This is a domain. Then if I put enter, this is my domain. After this is my query parameters, and this is my resources, or we can also call query string. What is query string? Query string is used to filter the data. It is used to filter the data. So it means that you should just execute whatever is inside the page 2. Get the data in page 2, page 3, page 4. And remember, query string is always in key and value form or format. So query string is always in key and value format. It means after this question mark, whatever comes, there should be a key. Page is the key, and this key should have a value, and this is the value. And if you put everything together, this will be a URI. If you put the endpoint plus URL, this is going to make a URL. Again, if I click here, if I click here, now it gives me the information. So this is URI. After starting this / take this question mark, this is the resources, or this is the parameters I have. After this, I have query string, and whatever comes after the question mark, this is query string, and this query string is always in key and value format. And why do we use query string? To filter the data we want. So what is the data we want? We want the data inside page number 2. So that's why you put 2 here. So this is how to break down a URI and endpoint. Okay, so again, domain, that I showed you last week. I think I have the, let me, yeah, I showed you last week, I think. Let's see if I have. Yes, this is the same thing. First is domain, and then we create URI and URL. This part is URI, and the entire part is URL. So domain. So this is the first slash. Domain shows where the server is located, and then URI. So whatever. So it means these are all locations. Inside this location is inside this. This folder is inside this. And then after that, we have query string. Query string always have name, a key, and value. So whatever we have here, we can just put it. So now the developer has given this to us, and we're gonna start creating requests by using this. Okay. So let's just open this and click edit. So before doing any API testing, guys, the developer gives you a specification document like this. Inside this specification document, you have everything. So you need to do. So it gives you the endpoint. Then you put the endpoint plus the location. This is the endpoint. So whatever testing you want to do is inside this folder or file. And then there's a file user inside this API. Here, after this, you have a query string. So the purpose of this, what is the purpose? The purpose is to return all the lists in that page. If everything returns in that page, then you get the status code of 200, then it is successful. If not, this is a failure. Okay, now I put everything in. So I put everything here in Postman. So first of all, this is GET request. Okay, this is GET request. I'm gonna come here. So I want to create a collection. What is a collection? Collection is a test suite, remember. So the different ways to create collections we have, and I'm gonna just put use this. Okay, I'm gonna name it practice session. So this is the collection I created. So after I create the collection, so then I close it. There is no need to just save it. Then here you can.
Ну, я его, правда, спросила.
Okay, then after you create the collection, so you have the option to add a request here or not. But normally you click on this plus sign, and you have the you click here. So now I paste the URL. Again, what is this URL? This URL includes a domain. After this, starting this forward slash to here, this is the parameter that I have. After this question mark, whatever comes, this is query string. Query string is in value, and then the key and value. So now I execute this. After I execute this, it gives me the data. So whatever data I have in this file, I have it here. Let me just make it bigger. So whatever data I have here, it's inside this. See, a lot of data I have it here. And another way with using let me just show you with the browser. If I get the data, I open my browser, then I paste everything here, then I will get the same data in the browser. See, so page 2 has these data, but in the browser we cannot do the validation. That's why we don't use browser. Instead of browsers, we use a tool like Postman or whatever. So this is the same data. I get it here. Okay, now let's go to Postman. What I got here. So whatever. So the status I got 200. Okay, this is the size, and then I got some information here. The headers I got here. So then I go back here. So the developer gave me this document. So I used the get command. I use get command by this URL. So I didn't need to put anything in the body, because whenever we use get, there is nothing need to be in the body. So what does it return? It should return everything in the page number 2. So then I go here, yes, everything is in page number 2 is here. So we have 12 people here. So, and I got the status code of 200. So this is passed. And after that, we are going to learn validation here, guys. This is very important. The most important part in Postman is the validation. So I'm not going to show you now, maybe later, because first you got to learn it first. Okay, now this is fine. I got the hit, the get. So I'm going to save it because we have no time. So I'm going to save it in practice session. So what is the name? So the name, I'm going to say get page. Now I save it. So here, if you come here in the practice, I have get page because I got the data according to the to my whatever the developer gave me, whatever the condition. Yes, it returns everything. The status code what you want. Okay, now I go to the second one. Here I have the same domain. You always have the same domain. Remember, the same endpoint, but whatever changes, the URI changes. What is the difference here? In here, we don't have. Who can tell me what is missing here, or what don't we have here? As I explained before. Can you guys guess for the second part? Here, we don't have string. We don't have, if you remember, string query. There is no string query. There is no question mark. Only we have domain and parameters. Okay, so now by using this, so what does the developer need? Return single user. We are not putting any filter here. We return single user. When we are using parameters, we don't put a question mark here. Okay, return single user. After you do it, what should be, what is the next step? And now it shows, it says, okay, it should give you 200 because you are still using get. And 2 represent a student ID, path parameter 2. It's path parameter, not a string query. Okay, and now I copy the same thing, and then I go and I create something else. Okay, here again I need get, so I copy the same thing. It should give me only one person or one ID. So it gives you only one ID. What is ID 2? Okay, if I change the ID like to 3, it gives you the person 3. But if I do this, it's incorrect. You know why it's incorrect? Because in a specification document, the developer in a specification document, the developer wants me to only use user number 2, not anything else. So what should be the, so in body, you don't need to put anything. The method that you need to use is get, because I cannot decide myself. I am told by developer. So how, let me just show you something more. So I hate this. Let's see. So this is the specification document, okay, that I get it. This is the specification document that developer gives you. In this specification document, all the information is inside that. Based on this specification document, I create a document for myself because everything is inside this specific document. Test specification development, test frame development, test case development, test execution reporting, API specification document, reviews the API specification and user case documentation from test perspective. So it means as a tester, I don't decide what to do. So whatever I'm told, I'll do that. Okay, now let's come here and see what I got. The response is 200, so it matches. And then 2 represents the student data. It means it should be only one student. Yes, there is a student number 2. I can just change it back to 2. And then I got all the information. So it is passed. Now I can do validation, but I'm not going to do validation here because I'm going to do it for the next time. This is cookies that is created. So what are cookies? Cookies are temporary files that are created through the web using web browser. So this is the cookies, and these are the headers. What are the headers? Remember, we validate the headers. Headers are extra information. Headers are additional details about the API or extra information about the API that I provided here for you guys. So what are the main important things that we need to care in using headers? So first, they are in key and value. So it says date, extra information. In this date, it was executed. Current type application, the report is JSON, and whatever you need here is inside this. And normally you have two important things in here that I'm going to show you with local API. And after that, we don't have test result because we didn't validate anything here. I'm going to show you how to validate. So this is why it's empty. Okay, this is the second one. So it was passed successfully. I got the information. I send it. Now I'm going to save it. Get user two. Okay, then practice session. I'm going to choose this API practice session. Yes. I'm going to save it. Now we have two. So let's get to the next one because we got to go fast. Okay, what you want to learn, whenever you have get, it means in the body, you don't have to pass anything. Only we are retrieving the data. Only we are retrieving whatever we have inside the database or the server. Okay, now the developer wants, this is the third one is the post. Okay, so what should I do? I should pass this inside the body. Okay, the success response is this. So I should give the message like this. And then what is the status code? This time it's not 200 because I only use get with 200. It should be 201. And then what is the command? What does this request do? It creates something. Okay, now let's go here. And then I copy this. And these are open sources APIs. Some of them don't work properly, some do, but I hope they work. Okay, here I get the body. So where I put the body, whenever I send the request, body, okay, and I use raw, important. So I created here. So I want to create one here, remember. So the purpose of this request is to creating something. Again, import, let's see. The URI, the endpoint, and after endpoint API users, this is creating. Okay, so what should I get? Success is I should get this, and the code should be 201. So, and here it should be post, and let's do it. So created, and then the ID is this. So what is the success response? 201. So it was created, and it says successful. So I'm not going to waste time. So this is the response code 201. It was created, and then that's why whenever you use post, so you put something in the response. So I'm going to come back, save. Okay, so I think we created inside another folder. Let's just create it inside. Okay, again. So this is post. I'm gonna cut this, copy and draw. Okay, and this is the URL for post. Even if I use on this, it in the web browser, it gives me this data, but I cannot. So this is the data I have here, but I cannot validate anything because in web browser we cannot validate anything. Okay, now I send the URL here. So it's created, so it passes. So I don't want to waste time. Here, practice session, that's good, save practice session. This is post. Okay, so what kind of API we are doing? We are doing web services, guys, because we are doing it through HTML and URL. So we are hitting the server. This is not local. I'm going to show you local as well. Okay, this is post. And this one is something different. What is the behind this? This is in this one I should get instead I'm sending only one thing, okay, and this is just to check the login, and the response I'm gonna get is 200 instead of 201. You know why? Because sometimes we use post request to validate something. Sometimes, mostly we use post request to create, but sometimes we use post request to validate something. Remember this. So what is the validation? it means I want to see if this username with this email is present in the server. So if it present, it doesn't create anything. So it gives me the 200 response code. 200 response code is for get. And also I can also get it through post, because by using get, I cannot pass anything in the body. See, get doesn't have anything in the body. Get retrieve the data. But now I want to send these to email and username to see if they are available inside the server. If yes, it gives me the get token, and it should be 200. If not, then it will be failed. I think it's not going to work because this is their dummy APIs, but let's do it here. Again, post to validate, for validation. Normally post is for creating, it gives us 201, but here we can also use post for validation and it gives you a token. It may not work because it's a dummy API, but just remember this. Okay, now this is the login feature, guys. Okay, it's something different. It means okay, let's just try it first. I'm going to tell you what. Okay, I think it's not going to work because it gives us error because missing email or username. Yeah, because we didn't copy this important. So let's see if it works or not. Yeah, it's not working, but just remember, I knew it's not going to work, but remember, we use post for validation because by using it, we cannot pass body, and the response code we expect is 200. Okay, and another thing that we have here, we can also use another login, but this time we give something wrong. Okay, and in the body, I will pass this here just to show you. It should give an error. So let's see what it gives. Error, missing email or ID, but it's like missing password or email. By using this, it means whatever you're expecting, it should be 400. See, our expectation is 400. If I come back here, it gives me 400. It passes. You know why? Because this is negative testing. So by using post, I'm sending a request. It has only user, not password. So what the expectation? The expectation is that it should not give me success because something is missing. It should give me this message, and the status code is at 400. And what is the result? Login should not be successful. Okay. If I show you this way, that you guys understand. So let's consider Gmail. Okay. This is my computer. This is the database that my Gmail is inside this database. Okay. Now this is API. What is it? So when I send my username and password, it first the API will get it and then hit the database. See if the username exists or no. If it exists, then it returns back to the API and then returns to me. So then I will be able to log into my application. But if I send something wrong, then it responds back, okay, it's missing. Then I'll not be able to log in. So by post, we can also do validation. It just hit the database. If it exists, that's fine. If not, it gives you the response. That's the only thing we need to do. Okay, and also let me do one of these, and that would be enough for this part. So this is fine. Now I'm gonna use another thing. Okay, this is dummy API. You guys can get it. Sometimes they work fine, sometimes not, but this is the dummy API you have here. So you guys go and try it. So let me show you something. Okay, what is this guy? Who can tell me? Can anybody tell me what is this?
This is the domain.
Very good. Now I want to access this data. So this is the URL. I copy this and then put it here. After I do it, now this is a URL. And once I hit it, it's gonna return me the data. See, this is the URL. This is the domain. Once I copy this information and add it to my domain, it gives me the data. So that's why we can use. So I got these from here. Some of them are good, some of them are not for validation. List of user. So whatever inside is page 2, it gives me the data in page 2. Okay, the response is 200 for get. Always remember. And get single user. Now we just did it. See, it's the same thing that I copied here. The same thing. 2. Okay, now single user not found. This is important. It should, what is my expectation? It means we don't have number 203 in database. Let's try it. Okay, this is user, yes. So I'm gonna copy this, and I'm gonna copy this. After I copy it, I'm gonna use get. I go here. This is page get user. Instead of this is post, it should be get. Okay, it should be get. I pasted it. Instead of 2, I say 2 and 3, and send. Okay, not found, because it doesn't have, it's not in the database. It's the same thing that I showed you guys. Okay, that's why they are called dummy API, but they are very useful. So it means it should give me this. I can also have it. The developer gives me the description. It should be instead of 400, it should give you 401. And also list of resources. It gives you, just remember, this is the same thing, and you can also learn from this. Okay, now let me go and use this one for the last time, and then we are gonna start doing validation, which is very important. Okay, this is dummy API. Sometimes they are working properly, sometimes not. Okay, now I close this. I don't need it. No. I don't need it. Yes, save this. Yes, and okay, I copy the URL here. Then I so this is, what does this do? First of all, this is get. There's nothing in the body here. And get a single employee data, path parameter, employee 701. But here I have 700. Let's try it. So let's try 700. So status null. It doesn't have a data in it. Okay. If I my system is crashed. Okay, instead of 700, 709. Okay, null. You know why? Let's come here. I come here. This is the same API. I got the information. When I get all the data, the list of users, what is the last ID here? It's 12. Okay, the last ID is 12. And list resources, it's 12. Let me try 12. Now it should give me the information. It's okay. Now 12 has the data because this doesn't, so I need to change 700 to 12 because the database doesn't have this information. So, and it doesn't give me this, so it should return 200. 200 is the same, okay? And then give the single employee data, and here 701, I need to put it 12 because maybe they change it. Now they don't have 700 data in it. That's the reason. Okay, so this is successful. Again, I can just very fast get it, save it, because we need to start validation. Okay, get employee to practice session. Okay, now let's go to the last one. Now this one, it says create. Then I send the body. Once this create, it gives me the 200 success code. And once it created, it should not give me 200 success code. It should be 200 201. Okay, let me just for the last time use this because we have also things to do. Okay, here I want to create something. So this time I want to create something. Okay, create body. Here in the body, it asks me if I come up, it says body. In body, it asks me to send data. I want to create this. Let's see if it creates. Sometimes they don't work. Just done. Let's see if it creates its name test or whatever. If it doesn't create, we don't mind because we have another local if it's going to work. So it should create this. That's why I put something in data. Whenever you see post, remember, you should have it must have body. This one doesn't have body because it's get. This one doesn't have body because it's get. Post always has, put always has, because you have to create something and then update it. Okay. Let's see if it has something. If it's not, that's fine with this API. Status success, the ID 5216 was created. It's not accurate because as I show you guys, the last ID we have here is 12. See, it's 12. The last ID we have here is 12. If I go here and click on this, the last ID is 12, but it creates 5,000 whatever. But we just want to learn. That's fine. Okay, it's success. It should be, it's 200, but it's not, it's 200, see? And create new record in database, path parameters. Okay, now it means this is a defect. How do you know if it's defect? This is red, because whenever you want to create something, guys, remember post is always 201, but here it gives us 200. So that's why I put it in red. When it gives you 200, now it's a defect. It's success, but there is something wrong with it. This is a defect. So I'm going to validate it soon. Yeah, you guys learn how to validate it. So it was created. It gives you the success. ID is this, but this is a defect. It should not be 200. 200 is only for get. Get is 200, not this. Okay. Now, if I want to update this, then I put the same thing. Then click update. When it updates, it should not give you 200 as well. So because this is not correct, 700, that's fine. I'm not going to go over this. I think they're not going to work because they're dummy API. So let's go here and see what they have for put here. So put, it's the same thing, response 100. Okay, let's, so now we created this. I want to update it. Let's see if it updates. So how can I update it? I come here. What is the ID here? 5216. If I want to update this, then I click on this. I choose put. Okay. And also inside the body, I want to copy this. It's not going to work because they're giving wrong ID. So if I want to update it, I need to use ID as well. Okay, and the URL for this is 21. Let's see if it works. So I want to update number 2. See, we only have path parameters, not heuristic. Okay. Success, yeah, it works. Successful record updated. 200 is the status code. So what is the ID for this? We updated ID 21. What is ID 21? If I go here, so and get this user list, ID 21. We have ID 21 here that we cannot see it, but that was updated. That's why these are not accurate. But we are just learning how to do it. So what I did, this is 21. And then I send this and it gave me this information. The success code was 200, updated an employee record path. So I'm going to delete this, that's just C, and that would be fine. We're going to go to the next topic because they're almost the same. So what is delete? For delete, I don't have body. Success, text successful, deleted. That's fine. This is whatever I need. So let's just save this and practice session. and I put, just put, okay, and the last one is going to be, so I don't need this, let's keep it. Okay, so let's put delete. So what I want to delete here, I need to copy this, but we don't have 700 as you guys see. We just created 21, updated 21. If it works, I want to delete 21. If it works, I don't think so, but let's see. Sometimes it does, sometimes not. So I just updated number 21. It means 21 exists, but now I want to delete 21. Instead of this 700, I'm filtering the data, so I put 21. Success, 21 deleted. It's not working back here. It doesn't delete it, but for our purpose, it's fine. It's here, but this is fine. So what is the status code here? The status code 200, okay, and then it got deleted. So what is my requirement? The developer, in a specification document, I was told use the delete command. Use a delete command. This is the endpoint. This is the URI. No body because it's delete. You should get this in message. If not, this is wrong. And then what is the purpose of this? Delete an employee. It should delete an employee. But I changed this 700 to 21. In the real time, if it didn't work, let's put 700. Let's see what will happen. I think there is no 700. In the real time, yeah, even we don't have 700, but it deletes. It in real time, if it doesn't delete, then we will be reporting that to the developer. So this is how we do testing in Postman, but now we have a lot to do. Just let me show you. So now, very important things, guys. We get the data, a specification document. Inside that specification document, everything is there, everything. So we have nothing to do. They give us the endpoint. They give us the type of the command we want to use, the request, the URI, what is the result. I don't mind if page number 2 has data or not. If it doesn't, so I'll be reporting it as bug, as defect. But this is what we get. So I hope it was a bit, I don't know, helpful for you guys. And let's come here. So the first HTTP we used was get, because it has a query string. Number 2 was get as well. Number 3 post. And this is the dummy URI. I don't know if I can send it in the WhatsApp. You guys can see. Okay, this is number 2, and so how to use Postman with this. That's fine. And now I can show you the next one also as local. Okay. Any question by now, guys? Are you guys hearing me?
Yeah, Rafirton, we hear you, brother. I personally don't have any question. It was pretty clear for me.
Okay, good. So what kind of, whatever test we did, guys, it was web service testing. You know why? Because we use internet, and we use this is web service because we use web internet, and we are hitting the server. Now I want to show you something that we do not use internet, and we are gonna do API testing using jar files. Okay, so this is the web services because we are dealing with the URL, and also it's working on the server side. Another thing that I want to show you is that I have a jar file here downloaded in my computer. This is a jar file. By working on this jar file, I'm gonna do testing locally. So I'm gonna close this. No. Okay, another thing I can show you guys here, this is another schedule. I think we may have time to finish or not. So another concept that I have, this is a student API testing. Here we are gonna do and learn something, but this is local, not the through web services. Okay, I'm going to show you, but you guys can go and just learn it yourself. The first thing that you need to do, I have the jar file, I can show you, and then you guys can practice. By using this jar file, I can do API testing, but locally. As I told you, web services, we only do when we have a URL, and then we do it through internet. But when we want to do API testing, the difference between web services and API, we can do API testing using jar files. Okay, let me what is API? I told you last week, I think. So API, not web services. We have them in format of jar files. Okay, we install those jar files, or we copy in our computer. Those jar files have method. So each method has different classes. So by doing, so these are our classes. These are our classes. So by doing this, so this is method again, and this method again, they have classes, and we don't have, there is no need for internet, no internet, not at all. And we are just doing it locally. We are just testing the API locally. So, but when we use web services, guys, when we use web services, remember, we are just doing it through URL, and internet is mandatory. Internet is a must. These three should be present. But when we use through jar files, we can do it locally, and these jar files, they have method and they have classes. By using these, we can also do API testing locally. So I'm going to just show you quick, because we may not have time for this session at this time. So first of all, I have a file I can show you that you guys just practice. This is very good. I have a file that this is the API testing I have here. Remember, I have a file. Then the testing type I'm doing, this is a student API testing. This is a database I have here. Then once I copy my file here, then I go to command prompt, because I'm going to do it using command prompt. I'll open the command prompt. So I'm going to use the same thing: create, get, put, data. And first we open the command prompt, we go to the file location. So first I have an API jar file here, API jar file. This is the student app, API testing or whatever. Then in my computer, it's in drive C, all softs. This is the location of this. First, I need to, as I told you the concept, this is API. I'm using jar files through command prompt, and these jar files, they have method, and each method, they have classes. So by using this, there is no need for internet at all, because this is not a web service. Web service, they always need internet, because we are dealing with URL. Okay. First of all, I have here, and then by using command prompts, I need to go to the location of my jar file API testing. So how do I do it? So just learn how to use command prompts. So first of all, my user is user Ringo. This is my location. If I want to go to my drive C from the beginning, I only cd / whenever you want to use command. So in my drive C, whatever I want to use, guys, here, then it depends or belongs to me. So I want to go to the C, and here there is a folder called all softs, because it's inside that. So how can I do it? Again, C, before you going to any folder, CD, remember. And then I want to put the name, it's case sensitive. No, this one. And after that, / it means this is cd / in between these two, you put the location. After I click that, it gives me, it takes me to this location. See, this is my cd also. Now, instead of writing, I'm going to show you two commands. We have two commands. The first one, because we're going to use it locally. Remember, if you guys learned Jenkins with this port 8087, this is local, and we're going to use the same thing. There's one command here. If it didn't work, we're going to use this command. So I'm going to use the first command here. Okay, so whenever you copy something, when you come to the command prompt, right click. When you right click, it just copies that link. When I click, now the server will be updated now. See, now it's gonna update the server for me. When I can do it, whenever I have the jar file here, guys. If I don't have the jar file or the API, it's not gonna work if I don't provide, because now whatever this command prompt is doing, it's inside this file. Okay. Okay, when I can do it, when is it ready? When it says registration, it started REST application, see? And it gives me the code 8085. It means I can now access this through local URL or local host 8085. It started REST API. This is a REST API. Okay, I have everything. I don't want to write because, so I'm going to copy this. What is this? This is the same code, 8085, whatever code it gives me, 8085, because I provided the same code to it, localhost, okay? And then what is the name of the testing? A student list. You see in my jar file, I have a student API. Now I open the command prompt and then so now this is the local, so localhost 8085 is student list. When I hit enter, it gives me all the information, all the data here. So ID one, first name, this is last name, this email. So these are all, this is a database that it has 100 data in it. It has a ID 91, ID 99, ID 100, first name, Oscar, last name, email, Michelle, or whatever. This is the last record we have here. See, last record. Okay, this is, now I can use Postman and do API testing locally. See, I have no internet. I don't need internet. I just did it locally through my API. Now, I want to use the same create post or whatever, but we may not be able to finish it, but I just want to show you something. That's fine. Okay. And I have another test case for this, something different and quick. Okay, this is something that I'm going to show you validation. What time did this start? Yeah, we have time. That's fine. Okay, here, the developer again gave me the specification document, guys. Again, they gave me a document, and through that document, the URL is this, the body is this, and then the type of body you want to put is this. If you remember, when we come here, I told you guys that whenever I want to post something, I'm not gonna come here and let's get. Whenever I want to do this, if I go to body or whatever, and here I don't want to, I cannot come and say, okay, just let's get something. I'm gonna use JSON. I'm gonna do this. No, the developer only gives you this information. So type body JSON. It means when I come here, I need to choose JSON. This is a must. This is, I can say, the order that the company gives you. Okay, you should get this response code. And then here we are going to do validation. Very important. So validation in Postman, we use JavaScript. But now I'm not going to use JavaScript. I'm going to use something else, how to validate the data. Very easy. Okay, so we are going to create a new record. So let's copy this. I'm going to copy this and come here. So new collection. So suitcase, I can say student. Okay, so I'm gonna, this is the thing. So once you create this, there is no need to save this. Okay, that's fine. Only close it. And then you have it here. I don't know why my PC is running very slow. Okay, again, practice session. This is the last one. Save to this. Finish. Now we have this API. I'm gonna click this. So I need to create something. I go to my file here, gives me the URL. So here you do not see anything like domain. You don't see anything like, I don't know, resources or string queue. This is local. But still, for filtering that, we use something which is called resources. In Ready API, it is called resources, but normally we call it string parameter. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Now I come to body. This is post. This is the URL. I put it here, and then I go back. So what should I send? This. And I come here, body and raw. Okay. Here, what kind of text then it gives me? What should the body type should be? JSON. Okay. And then I want to send it as JSON. So this is the information. As a tester, you follow it. That's fine. Yeah. And then the response is student added. I should get this response, and then the code should be 202. Then I go back here, and if you come to this page, so the 100 is the last ID. Okay, that's why I'm here. We have 101. So we are gonna add another guy. The name is my name, I think. We're gonna add this guy, and the ID should be 100. Okay, so let's see if it works. Student added. Okay, now if I go, so this is added. That's all. And now if I have, how should I know that this is added? I still have 100. Okay, you have two ways. One, if I refresh this, it should give me. If not, I have to go to the command prompt. You see the 101, 101, name is Rafiq, last name, whatever. This is the last time, okay? It was created. Now, the company or the specification document I have, remember, after using post, always use get to see if you have the information. Now I did it through this. This is not a good way. You should do it through your test case. So now it was created, that's fine. So how should I do it? Now let's come here. Let's do it. This is the time. For validating, I'm gonna copy these. Come here to, so if you come here, test case, I have nothing, test results. I only got this information, but the most important part of Postman is you should have validation. So what is this? First of all, this is a keyword test, open bracket, close bracket. Inside, you can put whatever you want. Validate my response. Validating my response. This is important. Equals response. This is a code. Dot code. What is response? What is response? Dot code. This response should equal, in JavaScript, we have 3 equal signs to attach to 1. So the response, if the response is this, if 201, the test is passed. If not, the test is failed. Okay. Again, what is this? This is the you put. The important part is here. Equal response body. What is response body, guys? What is response body? Has a student added. This is the body. If you get this message, this test will be passed. If I delete 1D, it will be failed. So what the response should you get? The response here, 2O created here, but in the system is 2O, a student added. This is the response I should get. Remember, response code, always we use dot code equal. For the body, for the text, we always use response dot has. This is the keyword. Okay. And the last one, test response time is less than 2. My response, if it's 200, it's gonna fail because this is my message. Equal response time is smaller than 400. This is my validation. Or I can put 200. Yes, it's smaller than 400 because 400, it means bad request. Yeah, we know 400 is bad request. Do we have 400 here? No. Once it before 0, these are my validation. Okay, and then let me, so that's fine. I think let's just delete this. That's fine. We have 3 validation. Okay, so the first validation, the second validation, the third validation. Now, if I want to run this again, so here we have no result. Now it should give us a result. So result. The test passed. Validating my response. Okay, it's 201. Validating response body is student added. Response time is less than 200. Let's see if I want to delete one add here or student delete add. That's one. Let's check it out. It still gives you because this is a dummy API. Okay, remember. Okay, now let's check this if it's less than 200. If it works, it's 201. If it still works. Maybe it's dummy. Okay, this is a response time, response validation. Okay, now in this case, after you get the response, this validation will be passed. Now I have the validation, 3 test cases, 3 passes, and this is the, and the reason it's not working because this is, we have to run this again. Now it's the API is down. When you use this, you have to run it many times. Okay, now let's save this and let's see. Post. And here, what was the name? Okay, this is the first one that I validated. Now, I want to use Git if we have this record, 101 is created, okay? And how to use Git command. So what was the ID that I created? I created the with ID 101. I need to use the same ID with Git. So now I go here, Git, and I go copy everything. I just okay. So when we do this, we do not need to put anything here. Okay, remember, nobody forget. And also for this, what is the validation I have here? I should get the response code. Okay, let me just change the name. This is the because I think I have one list. No email, that's fine. Okay, now I'm gonna copy whatever I have here. So I want to validate it if it's working fine. Okay, I go to my test and then I copy this. What is a copy? Whenever we use git command, the response should be 200. Response code dot code. Response body. So the guy we added, it was I created my name. So the guy we added was this name. I should get this. So it when I added the ID was 101. Then I want to get the same ID, and the guy that I created, the name should be the same. Okay, these names should be the same. If the name here is this guy and the last name is this, remember for the body we always use has, always has. And here, as I told you, the header, what is header? Header is extra information for the API. Here, I want to get the header content type as well. I can also do it. Let's see if it works. And 101, the body, nothing, that's fine. It says for status for not found 101. Let's in this situation, okay, now I want to do, we gotta run it again. That's why I told you. I'm gonna copy the same thing and paste it here. It's gonna run again. And because this is a local API. So once set up, so I'm gonna use the same thing again. Sometimes when it's down, okay, just change the URL, guys. Let's see what is the response here. Start. It should work now. Okay, let's go back here. Let's see if we still have the name. Yeah, because when it's runs away, it only deletes it. Okay, now that's why we don't have it. Let's go here. So we have post. Okay, and now I want to create. It was created successfully. I'm gonna use get. So I want to get this information because now it's up, not found. 101. Maybe because the servers it didn't create. See. Now we have 101 here. I want to get this. Validate, delete this. Okay, maybe. So what did we create before? Post, the body. Okay. So because if the name is the same, it's not gonna find. Fine. Let's come here. Let's delete these two. I think it's not there. Not found. Okay, validating a status code, assertion error, expect. So this is the validating we have. Okay, it's not working because of 2K. Okay, let's. The system is now okay. We put back these, and we header have found. Let's go back and send it away. Let's go here. Okay, item status but not found. Maybe the API is down or whatever. Let me just. What is the information here? 8085. 8085. Yeah, this is the API, but doesn't matter. Okay, so what did we create it? I think. Oh no, I think because we didn't save it. Let's save it. Maybe because we didn't save it. Oh, student, no. No. Let's now do it if it works. This is the requirement. That is not found. At this, yeah, it is created. See if it's 101 first name. When we refresh it, see 101. We have 101 here, but with get, there might be the local issue. There might be the name. Because here the name is the same. Let me just copy this and paste this here. The same thing. Copy this. And also to save. And, not found. Funny. Okay, let's just use post if we can delete it. We have it here. See, we have it here. Let's just use post to delete it. Yeah, put if it, to update it. So I'm gonna copy this. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this. Come here. Put. We copy the. For put, we always need body. I put the body here. Let's see if the API is down or get is not working. So what is this? This is put, and this is the same ID 101 because we have the ID 101 here. See, we have it, and let's just put it here. Instead of this, I want to say AA. Let's see if it's the API.
Is that fit, John? There you go.
I think we have. I think it's the API anyway. Because we have the ID here, see, but it's not working. This is JSON, this is get, and we've got this. Yeah, sometimes it's not working, sometimes it does. Maybe it's our API then. Okay, but the concept is the same. We can also, I can fix it for the next night, doesn't matter. But we still have it, see, 101. But maybe the after, let me just try it once more. 101. It should work now. The first one. With, so what should be there? Typing. Yeah, I can. Let me just go here. Yeah, I have the same thing here. See, and it worked. See, it worked now, but hours. Oh, see now it's I got the data ID 101. This is the name, okay, and I want to now update it. Okay, so I put if I want to update it. So let's see. I have the information here. What is the guy name? This is my name. Okay, I want to update it. I want to the same ID. I want to put this name. Let's see. Update it. Let's and then it is updated. If I want to use delete, I think our collection has issue. That's why it's not working. And if I want to use delete and then 101 send, it delete no content, gives you no content. Whatever, anytime you have delete empty 204 no content. And then if I come back here and refresh this, come here. So here again, the last ID is 100. So because here we created that, we getted that, and then we change the data. Don't save it. We change the data to ARD, and then we deleted the data.